Now we know that there are differences in how well a team performs. For some teams, everything just seems to work out. They get things done, they overcome obstacles, they have the information that they need. And for some teams, it just doesn't work out. Well-functioning teams, they are great at making decisions, sticking to them, and implementing them. And this is what makes them so successful. And we know that high-performing teams, they are less stressed, they have more fun at work, less sick days, and we also know that they are not, at least not by default, working any harder than the low-performing teams. So today, we will look at what characterizes low and high-performing teams. And we will learn that the most important behaviors of high-performing teams are that they repeatedly come back to the purpose and goals, that they have a high quality in talking and listening, that they have a high degree of discretionary behavior amongst the individuals, and that they have a high level of psychological safety within the group. So, hey guys, great to see you here.
Hi.
Extra welcome to you, Katrine.
Thank you.
Now, Katrine, you are a colleague of mine and you're an experienced project manager, and you're used to using collective intelligence as a way in your day-to-day work to help your teams excel. And we said before that the first thing we wanted to start discussing with you is basically great teams' behavior to repeatedly come back to the purpose and goals.
Yeah, and that's something that is very easy, but at the same time very difficult.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning of a project, you develop your purpose and goals, and based on those, you start setting the plan. And as you want the plan to be as good as possible, you make it very detailed. However, the problem is that in normal teams, you're very focused on following the plan, and you see all actions in the plan as must-dos. The problem is that they don't see that the conditions are changing and that the plans should do too.
Yes. So you could say that in this case, you know, the expression, the devil is in the details, that by focusing too much on the smaller details or the activities, you can actually lose proportion and priority of things, and the whole project could actually start derailing. So what these high-performing teams do is they go back and check. Is this still relevant? Is this still the best way to use our time and priority?
Yeah, because the problem is that the low-performing teams, they tend to avoid these kind of discussions, because for them, that's more about going back to the same topics as they have already discussed, and it creates a feeling of not knowing what they're doing. However, the high-performing teams, they see that as catching the different perspectives, the different opinions, and making sure that you're having the right priorities.
Exactly. Now we know from research that high-performing teams have a common characteristic in how they communicate. So imagine this. You're in a problem-solving situation, and in this situation you can choose between either your own perspective on the problem or the perspective of others. And you can also choose between either advocating these perspectives or exploring them. Now what high-performing teams do is they work interchangeable with all of these four perspectives. They both advocate their own perspective and they explore both their own and others. Now what low-performing teams do is they get stuck down here in the lower right corner. They're not at all listening for the perspective of others, only advocating their own perspective.
Okay, so, but this is one dimension of quality talking and listening. There's another one I want to address as well, and that is that exploring the perspective of others really needs high quality talking and listening. And this means that the people in these teams, when they speak, they really think about how to, express their message carefully, and they look for the reaction in the people that they are talking to. So if they see confusion or they don't get the message through, they, adjust and try to explain. But this is the same with listening, because you can listen with a high care as well, really trying to understand how this person is thinking. But you can imagine yourself that if you are at this level of speaking and listening, much more knowledge gets across, of course, and at a higher quality. So it really makes a difference for knowledge integration. Okay, so a third critical factor in high-performing teams' behavior is the high degree of discretionary behavior.
Yeah, and I think discretionary behavior is a really complex word, so I think we need to just explain that.
Yeah, maybe we do. You could say that discretionary behavior is the level of how much of your personal skills, your intelligence, and your energy that you actually choose to invest in a task at a certain given point of time.
Yeah. And it's also like you cannot always bring your maximum skill and intelligence, but it's about how much of that you choose to invest.
Yes.
That's the discretionary behavior.
Yeah, it's a variance, right?
Yeah.
So you're not always on your max.
No.
Yeah, but I think that an interesting example of that is when a group is not working properly.
Yeah.
Because then you can see that individuals with low discretionary behavior, they will tend to avoid the problem. They will tend to start blaming someone else, the system or the leader or something, and they will not start handling what's actually going on. On the other hand, you have the individuals with high discretionary behavior. And they will not start working because there is a problem. They will reach out to each other, they will start handling it, and they will make sure that the group goes back to the original problem.
Yeah. So the fourth aspect of high-performing teams that we want to discuss today is the level of psychological safety. And that's basically about people daring to take personal risk to accomplish outstanding results. To say no or ask stupid questions or think and act openly, that doesn't feel threatening in a team where you have a high level of psychological safety.
Yeah. And you can ask yourself, why is it a good thing that you dare to take risks? But if you think about the opposite, a team that is characterized by things like prestige, politics, irritation, frustration, and so on, that will mean that people or the team members will be more restrained in what they say. They will sort of hold back. They will choose to say things that you call, politically correct. Yeah. It's the right thing to say, but in reality, it will be less informative and actually less valuable or less usable in actually solving the problem. So there you have the problem, so to say.
So, what we have been saying today is that there are 4 characteristics of high-performing teams. That they come back to the purpose and goals repeatedly, that they have a high quality in their talking and listening, that they have a high discretionary behavior amongst the individuals, and that they have a high level of psychological safety.
Yeah, but there's one thing I'm missing actually on this list.
What's that?
And that's, the team's ability to alternate between reflection and action.
What do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean is, if you think about a team, a collective, you can't always be reflecting where you try to get consensus, you try to get information from everyone and so on, because in certain situations it's much more important to keep up the momentum and keep up the action. So in these high-performing teams, because they have spent so much time discussing purpose and goals and everything, they are also comfortable or safe in making decisions individually, making their judgment call there and then, and make a decision and then implement that. Yeah. So they're able to act as well as reflect. That's my point.
Yeah, and what I find so fascinating about this is that what we have been discussing here and what you're saying now, it's nothing complex. Everyone can do this. Everyone has at some point been in a team where this has been the norm and where they've just acted this way. So everyone can do this.
That's important.
Yeah.
And the very good thing here is that teams can actually train and they can improve their behaviors in order to improve the performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and these 4, or it's, well, actually maybe 5 characteristics of high-performing teams we have been trying to explain today. That's, of course, what we have incorporated in the KICS model. So if teams choose to practice new behaviors using this model, well, there's a good chance that they can improve their performance. Yeah. And that was the topic of today.
Yeah.